Bon dia. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much to be here. It's a great pleasure for us, for me especially, for my team, Andorra Business, Andorra Research and Innovation. Thank you to the authorities. Thank you to the companies. Thank you to the institutions to help us to go ahead with this challenge, especially to the GSIC, the partner, the special partner, the strategical partner that we have with this project. I would like to spend a few minutes with you trying to share how the sports is challenging many projects in Andorra, how from the government and the institutions, the public sector, and also the private sector, we are trying to boost this sector to be more important than actually it is, that I would try to explain to you, and especially how we are focused on innovation like a strategy to improve this sector and the weights that this sector has for us in tourism and in our economy. They say that it's quite difficult, but it was close. Okay, so let's go. The main target, as I said, is to positioning Andorra as an innovation hub of cycling, mountain, and winter sports due to our country. Maybe for you it's the first time that you visit Andorra. Tomorrow morning, maybe you have the opportunity to see that we are a valley in the middle of the mountains. We have the city town. We have a lot of sports that could be done here, but we are focused in these three disciplines, disciplines that we think that they match very well with the kind of country, with our environment, and with the idea that we have that we can be competitive as a country. I don't know, sorry. I think we have a problem with, okay, I go ahead. We try to range the presentation. So in terms of GDP, if we compare this sector, and I am sure that you know better than me, what is the average and the weight of the sports sector in Europe. If we talk about in terms of GDP, we can say that in average, we have the sports sector with a 2.2 weight in the GDP in Europe. What happens here in Andorra, in this small country, in which we have a lot of companies, a lot of athletes that are here, entrepreneurs, and the public sector also. So we are not in 2.2 in overall regarding the GDP. We are in the 7.7 weight of the GDP. So this is a main figure. This is a huge number for us, but it's not enough. We want to go ahead with more increasing weight in our economy about the sports. So a snapshot about this 7.7 of the GDP. Let me give you some information. We have 105 companies with a total turnover of 2,030 million euros. That is 68% of which is generated by tourism and occupies around 2,250 employees. So huge number, huge weight in our economy. We have also more than 3 kilometers ski slopes. That is the main asset that we have as a country. But it is not only this figure, this weight of the ski resort sector and the slopes that makes that the sport is a strategical sector for us. Some other figures. 80% of the turnover is generated, of course, about ski resorts and sports retailer. We have 47.3 is the weight of ski resorts, We have 35% of sports retailer that are regarding and in the total with the ski resorts, the main weight in this sector. But as you see, local material producers, sports facilities and gyms, sports activity and events organizers, and sport medicine, of course, are the main sectors inside the sports sector that has this huge number of 7.7 of our GDP related to this sports sector. Therefore, the sports sector is for us, for the government, for the country, a priority. Doesn't work. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, I go ahead. How we try to boost this sport, how we want to go ahead and increase this strategy and the weight of the sports in our economy. We use three main pillars. The first one is innovation. That's the reason why we were very confident about this summit, the first summit that we are going to do, and we hope that will be not the first and the least. And digitalization is the second one, and sustainability. Today we are going to talk about innovation. I'm sure that with the strategy that we are going to share with you, with the panelists, with your institutions, the company, entrepreneurs, investors, that all of you are here, maybe some of you are at home, we can make a huge networking session today in order to share this situation, our strategy, and maybe at the end of the year, the day or next week, you have an idea, a project that you can imagine that you can place here, you can start here. So that's the main reason that we are focused on. And if you, at the end of the day or next week, you realize that you can be here in Andorra boosting and starting a project, please contact the government, contact Andorra Business. We will be very happy to help you and to go ahead with this project with you. But even though sports is one of the main sectors in which we are focused, it's not the only one for sure. As a country, we were working from the beginning of the 2010, close to 2012, with a process of diversification, because we realized, we realized that our economy has to change. We are a country very focused on services, tourism, of course, and until 2012, we were a country closed regarding foreign investors, but this situation changed in 2012. At this moment, we approved a law, we opened our economy, so foreign investors were welcome to come here and to invest directly. They don't need, you don't need, if you are some of them are a local partner, if you want it, you can find it, but it's not an obligation. So we start this process in 2012, trying to diversify our economic model. Since then, we achieved several double taxation agreements with some other countries that help us to attract foreign investors, but it was not the unique strategy that we need in order to increase and to diversify our economic model. Of course, we start and we implement a model of homologation regarding our tax framework, but the results, is true that until 2019 were not as huge as we desired. So we were very, very close to the private sector, the Andorran private sector, asking them how can we diversify more quickly our economy. So, sorry about that, okay. After this discussion with the private sector, we have a target of 12 sectors that you have here, in which we are focused as a government I can say, as a country, because these sectors are sectors boosted by their private sector. Those companies here, the companies in Andorra, that they think that the sectors that we can have a niche, an opportunity, are those ones. And as you see, sports, traditional sports sector is one of them. Not only in the traditional way or in the industry, also in the esports sector, an industry in which that we are very confident that Andorra can have an opportunity. And I would like to go ahead with some figures also to understand why we decide, why the private sector and the public sector understand that, of course, we are a small country, that we have a lot of tourism, but we can use this tourism as an engine also for the sports sector. We have more than 8 million visitors at the end of the year. Many of them came to the country just a day, and the half of them, 4.4 million visitors, stayed at least one night in the country. We are trying to increase this figure, this number, especially regarding to those that they want to stay and to spend one night in the country. And about 60% of these 8 million people, they come to Andorra because sports. They come to shop sport material, they come to practice the sport, or they come to the country to participate or to see some events in which we participate as a country. So even though we are a small country, if you don't know, we have 468 square kilometers, 80,000 people living here. We receive 8 million visitors. We are happy about that. But even though we are a small country, we have a huge number of international events that happens in Andorra in collaboration with the communes, like Ordino, the government, the private sector, that we realize that even though we're small, we can challenge huge events, international events. And especially when those events take place here in Andorra, the balance, it's very good. It's really very good. For the country, for sure, for our image, our brand, the way that we organize these events, the way that people, it's involved in the national people, residents are involved in these events. It's a good experience, and the level of satisfaction, it's quite high. So Andorra, home of major sporting events like Andorra Multisport Festival, by Ironman, Tour de France, La Vuelta, Skiing World Cup, BTT World Championship, among others. So it's a huge experience. We try every year at least have one or two of these huge events. Some of them are quite new, like Multisports Festival by Ironman. Some of them have a long tradition, like a competition in trial. We're happy when we have the Tour de France. The year that we don't have the Tour de France, we try to have the Volta a España. So every year, among the season, we try to have a huge or more than one event to show the world that we are prepared, that we have the infrastructure, that we have the know-how, and to show to some other organizations an event that they can think in Andorra, they can think to go ahead with a project or competition here in Andorra. Let me share with you a video.
And then she kissed my face, yeah. I'm falling hard.
one of the advantages to be a small country is that in a short video you can show many things, but not all of them. Sure, you have many things, more things to know about Andorra. I think we are not in the same. Okay, so the sports, as I said, I try to share with you that for us it's a strategical sector for sure, and from the government and from Andorra Business, we try to help the private sector to feel that for us it's really a strategical sector. Which actions we have done in the recent years to work with the private sector and to show to the companies in Andorra and to investors that we believe that this sector could be an opportunity to diversify our economy. We have created the Andorra Sports Cluster in 2018. Actually, we have 45 members. It's an initiative done and mixed with the private sector and the public sector. And the main objective is to support the private sector in sports in collaboration with the public sector. And one of the main things that we have done recently was we have declared the sports as a national strategical sector in our economy. So this declaration was very important, especially during the pandemic, because we were very close to with the private sector in the way that we have to manage the situation and the impact of COVID in this sector. The dialogue, the strategy, the needs, the worries about the situation were discussed and agreed between the public and the private sector through the Andorra Sports Cluster. And we realized with them that this sector is really a strategical one. So that's the reason why the Minister of Sports, the Ministry of Health, and the Minister of Economy, we worked together in order to declare this sport as a national strategical sector in the country. It's the first sector that we have declared in these terms. Adding some other initiatives that will help us, we hope, and we are sure, to boost this sector, to increase the weight in our economy, to go ahead with a strategical initiative. It's a collaboration for sure with the Global Sports Innovation Center. Our partnership with Microsoft is an important milestone in the way to boost this sector through innovation. I shared with you that we are focusing innovation, digitalization, and sustainability, and innovation will be through this collaboration with the Global Sports Innovation Center that we are confident that we are going to achieve for sure. We try to position Andorra in an international level among innovation hubs and startups. That's the reason why we think that this collaboration with the challenge that we work together will be the way to improve and to position Andorra as a living lab. So, some other things that we have done, some other projects, some other tools that we implement in the country, not only a partnership with a strategical partner as the GSIC. We have a physical project, an executive project here in Ordino that it's called La Casa de la Montaña, Mountain Home. It's a mountain living lab focus, especially as a meeting point to keep in touch entrepreneurs, companies, public sector, private sector, focus on innovation and trying to make the networking and to go ahead with projects that could be done here in Andorra, in this environment, especially in an environment that could be a living lab, a real living lab in the mountains. Okay, so using Andorra as a living lab, focus on an open innovation approach is the target, it's the strategy that we want to use to go ahead with this increasingly weight of the sports in our economy. Of course, we have the Casa La Montaña as this living lab in which the public actors, the academia, the private companies, the users, the entrepreneurs could spend and share knowledge. And this is the main strategy as the model that we are going to use through innovation and positioning Andorra as a real living lab. And this living lab will be in the center of our ecosystem that we are working and trying to, sorry about that. Okay, so Andorra has this strategy to being a living lab, trying to create this sports innovation ecosystem in partnership with the private sector, in partnership with entrepreneurs, with partnership with the companies, trying to develop this ecosystem with La Casa La Montaña, the international agreements that we want to have, like the agreement that we have with the Global Sport Innovation Center, and that's the main thing that we want to share with you, showing to the world, showing to you that we are prepared to be and to have a sports innovation ecosystem with research and development, with industry, with players, big players in many of the sectors inside the sports industry, with startups that we have actually in the country, but that we want to attract to the country. And this strategy is at the same time boosted by a national strategy of innovation. So we have the sectorial strategy in terms of sport, but we have as a country a strategy to go ahead with this diversification of our economy through the innovation. We have strategical plans, we have laws, some laws that are boosting this strategy, some laws that will be approved during this year, especially the digital economy, innovation and entrepreneurship law that will be approved if everything goes well at the end of the year, that will bring to investors, to the companies, to the entrepreneurs, a framework with enough legislation to go ahead with their project, to prototype some projects here in Andorra in a living lab environment. So that's the main thing. That's our strategy. That is what Andorra offers to you. And I hope that many of you decide to come to Andorra, to invest in Andorra, and to start a project here in Andorra. I think we have a final video, if I'm not wrong, because it was quite complicated. But I think we have a final video to close this speech. Okay, so thank you very much, all of you, for your attention. Sorry about this small problem with the presentation. I will have the pleasure during the day to have some words with some of you, if you want, of course, and to share our strategy, our ideas, our project, maybe yours. And thank you very much again to be here.